Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. You can keep this conversation with me over on Instagram and Snapchat, Big Mouth, and on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Welcome to Thursday's edition of the dceu Daily. And today, we talk about why Joker is my movie of the year and why Avengers Endgame isn't. So come in, grab a seat, microwave that popcorn, and feast on today's dceu Daily. Joker, from its very, very inception in its marketing, was obviously a very unique character study. But when you call a film Joker, you're going to put butts on seats. And it's very interesting when people go back and look why Joker has made $1 billion or will make $1 billion globally by the end of its run. It's because people love the Joker. People know the Joker. They know him from The Dark Knight. They know him from Burton's Batman movie. They know him from the 60s TV series, animated movies. But most important of all, they know him from the comics. He's as big. He's as popular as Batman and Superman. So calling a film Joker was always going to be put butts in seats. And if you're a lazy filmmaker, you could have made a watered-down version of the Joker. It still would have made $600-700 million. It's the Joker, for crying out loud. But when you take this film and you kind of look at the king of comedy, Taxi Driver, and you say, why don't we do a character study on a psychopath? But no, wait a minute. Why don't we go deeper than that? And actually see, let's research mental health. Let's look at what would happen to someone who lived in poverty, who had nothing all his life, and who was lied to by his mother, who also could have been suffering from mental health problems when you take away his meds. But no, wait a minute. Before he loses his meds, he's an aspiring comedian. He's trying to be a good guy. But society ultimately keep on kicking him to the curb. Now, to the extreme leftists, this was such an offensive take because we're going to sympathise with a white man. But of course, we weren't just sympathising with a white man. We were sympathising with a human being who deserves to be sympathised with and helped and given a helping hand to help him with her situation, no matter what colour their skin is, whether they're from Brazil, Cyprus, America. It wasn't about colour and it wasn't about gender. But to these lunatics, everything is about what box you're labelled in. This was a really fascinating film. The violence, the compellingness, the grit, the reality. This film actually goes down those rules that Batman v Superman and Man of Steel did. This is a gritty take. This is the Joker in the real world. Man of Steel is Superman in the real world. Batman v Superman is Batman and Superman in the real world and how people would react to that. And it's very realistic. It's very compelling. The violence needs to be real. So people are scared and say, bloody hell. Once you kill someone, they're dead. It's not cartoony. You can't make a quip when someone's died like they do in the MCU. So the experience from my test screening experience of the Joker, and I came here on this video, told you I'd seen it, I was honest about it, and I told you this film would make around $1 billion, but I told you the SJWs would come after it, and guess what happened? The SJWs came after it. This is what they do, and they thought they're a fence. I mean, Scott Mendelsohn, the guy who kind of does articles about box office and things like that, is extreme left. And we saw him retweeting a lot of bad stuff about the Joker. People, SJWs, making jokes about the Joker. Oh no, this guy didn't become a comedian, his dream didn't come true. I suppose he better go and kill people. He was retweeting that. The other day, he did an article saying why the Joker and other movies like it are showing kind of what people go through in poverty, suffering with mental health, the reality of life. Now, he's not making fun of Joker anymore because he can't. He is reliant on us retweeting him, reading his stuff. So, of course, he has to... You ever seen that GIF or GIF or whatever you call them, right? when Homer Simpson walks back into the green and disappears. That's what Mendelsohn is doing and the rest of them. So now, this is why Joker, and let's not forget the performance by Joaquin Phoenix. Soon as this guy's cast, I thought, this is going to be something special. Forget Leonardo DiCaprio, who I've got so much respect for. He's brilliant. But ever since I heard Scorsese's name mentioned, ever since I knew that Phoenix was going to be involved with this film, I knew we were getting something incredibly special. But all the idiots, all the normies could say is, how can you have two Jokers? Well, if you know your comics, you'll know having two Jokers is extremely possible, right? Because there's lots of Jokers in DC Comics. We know there's a multiverse of different versions of these amazing characters, and this is what Walter Hamada is doing. The Batman universe, the Joker Black Label verse, the DCEU, Batfleck, he comes from that universe. So there was never an issue for me. It's looking like we're never going to see another Jared Leto interpretation of the Joker. We're never going to see another film. He's not going to be in the Suicide Squad. It's a big shame because he's the new 52 version of the Joker, more of a gangster, and that's really, really interesting. And that's a shame. Now, there's been a debate that we shouldn't see the Joker in the Batman because it's too soon. No! Would DC Comics wait years just because they had one version of the Joker, but they wanted to do a multiverse story? They wanted to do an Elseworld story? Would they make it wait for years and years? No! I believe Matt Reeves should cast his own Joker, his own version of the Joker, and the Black Label version should be like his own kind of thing. And that's fine. So this is why I love the Joker movie. It's fresh. People say it's not a unique take because apparently it's inspired by Taxi Driver and the King of Comedy. No, everything is inspired by something. As I've said before, starting this YouTube channel, I was inspired by Mark Goldbridge, Chris Wong Svensson, Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, lots of different people. I don't copy what they do. I am myself and I talk about what I'm passionate about. But at the end of the day, everyone is inspired by something. It doesn't make you unoriginal. Just because one person created a successful YouTube channel, it doesn't mean nobody else can do it. So if I suddenly became successful, if Jeremy or Mark said, you're copying us, I'm not. I was inspired by you and I'm doing my own thing. Even if I wanted to do Man United videos all through the day, I'm not copying Mark. I'm just doing what I want to do, right? And that's fine. That's capitalism. That's how it works, right? Anyway, then we go to Avengers Endgame and why it's not my favourite movie of the year or anywhere near my favourite movie of the year. Avengers Infinity War is one of the best CBMs ever made. Not the best, not my best, but one of the best. It's very similar, actually. It's interesting that we're putting these films against each other because Avengers Infinity War and Joker are that self-contained villain story. Yes, the heroes are there, the Avengers are there, but it really is about Thanos' story. Why is he doing this? Why does he want the Infinity Gems? He wants to wipe out half of life around the galaxy because he's seeing all this devastation, all these children going hungry. And he's thinking, there's too many of us. Now, obviously, he decides that he's not going to die, but he wants to wipe out, he's a survivor. He wants to wipe out half of humanity. He even sacrifices his own daughter. It's a very emotional story. It's a very good story. And apart from Captain America and the Winter Soldier, it's the only decent, compelling movie from the MCU franchise. It's brilliant. And this is why Captain Marvel made $1 billion. And this is why Avengers Endgame is the most successful film in box office terms in movie-going history. But Avengers Endgame is a watered-down piece of crap. It really is. It conned the audience, the MCU fans. It conned them into getting excited. We thought we were going to see something compelling. We didn't. We saw the abomination that's Professor Hulk. They turned Ruffalo's Hulk into a freaking joke because everything's about comedy to them. We had 90 minutes of nothing, apart from the start, when Stark is saying goodbye to Pepper in space, right? That's brilliant. That's awesome. I love it. He's our character. He's our guy. He's been there since the very beginning. Of course we're embraced by him. We care if he lives or dies. And Captain Marvel saves him. And that's awesome, right? But then for 90 minutes, right? For 90 minutes, we get absolutely nothing. We get this idea that they've got to go back in time and do this Back to the Future thing. You have the cheek to call Joker unoriginal? They're literally ripping off Back to the Future 2. They're literally talking about Marty McFly and the DeLorean. Literally. And they think they're funny and they think they're clever. Avengers Infinity War was compelling. It had imagination. Even if you weren't invested like me in the rest of the MCU, it worked for everyone. Then you take that story and you say, to be continued. So you think, wow, we're going to get a really gripping conclusion. And there was nothing of the sort. I don't care about Jeremy Renner's character, whatever he's called. I forgot what they call him, right? But he's the most boring character I've ever seen in a franchise. I don't give a shit about him. He is the character in the opening scene. I'm supposed to give a shit that his family's disappeared and he goes dark. Nobody's invested with that character's arc. It is boring. It is a boring film. And then they have the cheek, fine. Robert Downey Jr. doesn't want to be involved anymore. You have to kill him off. We heard rumours about this, but what they did with Captain America was sacrilege. No way is Captain America actually going to say, fuck people, I'm going to focus on my personal happiness. Never, never, never. He's never showed a selfish bone in his body since he decided to do the super soldier thing in one of my other favourite MCU films, Captain America, the First Avenger. Many fans hate that film. I think it's an amazing film. I have so much respect for Chris Evans. One of the few actors I'd like to see one day play Superman. He's tall, he's upstanding, he does the whole, the purity thing so good. I love him. He's amazing. And they took a character that we looked up to and made him be selfish. This film is a watered-down filler episode of your favourite TV show. And you're telling me that is the film of the year. Really? You think that's better than Stan and Ollie? Really? You think Avengers Endgame is better than Stan and Ollie? Then maybe carry on, enjoy what you enjoy. And if you want to live in that fantasy world, it's fine. But for me, and most sane people, whatever you think politically, and I'm the most unpolitical person in the world, but Joker is the best movie of 2019. It's amazingly made. It's going to make $1 billion. And we know Avengers Endgame has made a lot of money. But they had to re-release it for it to become the biggest film of all time. They cheated. And they told you about a couple of extra scenes. They cheated to push it over the edge as the most successful film in cinematic history. Joker didn't have to do that. It didn't have to manipulate anything. Joker was successful because it was a great character study, like Avengers Infinity War was, and we should have had a continuation of that. But no, Thor chops off the guy's head at the beginning of the film, and then we got some lesser version of Thanos of the past. Shit, crap, watered down, typical fake, typical MCU, and you all gobbled it up and swallowed it up, and you're calling it the best movie of 2019 of all time. If you want to do that, that is your free right to do it. But for me, the Joker movie is the best film of 2019. No, scrap that. It's one of the best films in decades.